Hello friends, my name is Dr. Rahul Malushte. I'm a homeopath and a holistic healer. Today I'm going to share with you about family constellation and ancestral healing. Ancestral healing actually is a misnomer. I would like to say that it is more to do with healing the ancestral lineage. When we talk about healing the ancestral lineage, we are not healing our grandfather or great-grandfather, grandmother, great-grandmother, but it is actually what we are inheriting from them as beliefs or as ideas which are patterns which run in the family. So when we talk about certain illnesses running in the family, we feel that we have inherited them. But why is it that certain families have certain illnesses running through them? It is because these illnesses are related to certain beliefs, certain patterns which run in the family. And those are the patterns which are inherited in the genes through the beliefs which we carry. It's also about healing the limiting beliefs which certain family types carry. It's about the belief that the family is cursed, or it is about a belief that this family will never be prosperous. So these beliefs are the ones which we carry unconsciously, and when we heal these patterns, when we heal these beliefs, that is the process of healing ourselves. So when we talk about healing the ancestral lineage, it is about healing ourselves first, and then the healing extends back to the ancestors and the beliefs which we carry from our ancestors. So the most important way of healing ancestral lineage is a therapeutic tool called as family constellation. Family constellation is about creating a field where we represent members of a family and we are able to recreate the whole family system. We understand what are the entanglements in this family, what are the patterns which are there in this family. And when these are released, we are restoring the natural flow of love. It is all about giving the rightful position to the family member and restoring the order of love in the family. And that allows the process of healing to happen. Family constellation was first introduced by a German psychologist by the name Bert Hellinger, who was a missionary who visited some African tribes, and it was there that he noticed and observed the way in which those tribes related with their ancestors, how they created a certain field by which they could connect with all the information related to their ancestors. And he further developed this into a system known as systemic family constellation. So family constellation is, as the name goes, creating a constellation. When we say constellation, it means a group or a certain group. We talk about star constellations. So it's a group of stars which create a constellation. So the same applies to a family constellation where we are creating and recreating the whole family dynamics by representatives. So the person for whom we are creating the constellation chooses the representatives for himself and for his family members who step into a field. Now when we talk about a field is that which represents the universal consciousness. The moment the representative steps into the field, that individual can download the information connected to that particular family member, even if the person does not know anything about the background of the family. Yet, because he is connected to the field, he is able to download the information. And the whole family dynamics is enacted as a role play, which happens very spontaneously, not as a written script, but as a means where each individual is downloading what that specific family member passed through in the past. And when this whole dynamics unfolds, the person who is watching this constellation is able to understand the connections, is able to understand how these patterns, how these beliefs have been formed. It is here where the constellator then intervenes and helps to change the way in which various members of the family are relating. It's about untangling the relationships. It is about giving the rightful position to that family member so that each person takes his or her own place in the family tree. And when each member receives his position in the family tree, that restores the order of love. That allows the love to start flowing again. That breaks the beliefs, that breaks the patterns which are there. It also helps the person to realize that they have been unconsciously carrying these patterns. Their loyalty towards their family allowed them to believe in those patterns. But now, when they see it happening in front of them, they realize that these patterns do not belong to them, they belong to the family. And when these patterns heal in the family through certain healing statements which the constellator uses, that allows the reframing of those beliefs and breaking of those patterns. The moment these patterns are broken, the moment these beliefs are broken, they no longer get transferred to the future generations, to that particular individual and also the generations to come. That is how the process of healing happens. So it is believed that, and many people say that we carry influences way beyond what we even know about our ancestors. We may know maybe about our grandfather, maybe our great-grandfather, but we do not know beyond that because that information is never passed on. But in a constellation, we can go way beyond, even up to 7 generations earlier and beyond, to understand where these patterns are emerging. How does this happen? It happens because we are connected to the field, and the field is carrying all this information which gets downloaded by those people who play the role of those individuals. So it is not necessary that we know the family history or we know the family tree very specifically. Sometimes it may happen that certain information is not available, it's hidden, or there is a mystery. So that mystery gets represented in the constellation by an individual who is able to tap into that information. Maybe it's a curse which has been put on the family. Maybe it's a certain tragedy which has happened in the family. Maybe somebody in the family has been banished or has been outcast from the family system. Even though we do not know this, it is possible to understand by tapping into the unconscious field. So this information comes to us when the representative steps into the field and is able to connect and download that information. So there are other ways to heal the ancestral lineage also, other than family constellation. There are certain very powerful rituals which are part of the process of healing the ancestral lineage. A very important ritual which we practice is called as the rite to passage. A rite to passage is about allowing the child to step out of the shadow of its parents. So in this process, we represent the parents and the child, and it is here that the child seeks permission from the parents to start his own life, to be an independent individual by himself or herself, and that allows the person to step out of the shadows of the family system, to be an individual in his or her own right, to start her own family system. There are other rituals like honoring our ancestors, where we give them their rightful place, we give them their necessary position in the family. It may so happen that in certain families, a family member has been outcast or has left the family because of certain disputes. So, people who we call as the black sheep of the family, but they are part of the family system and we cannot just ignore them. So, giving them their rightful place. Also, there are processes where we give the place to departed souls who could never be born, like in cases where there were abortions. So, children who were never born, giving them their rightful place amongst the sibling line is another important process which happens during ancestral healing. We might be carrying certain cords from our ancestors, certain attachments which make us believe that we need to follow this pattern. It is part of the subconscious loyalty which we hold towards our family system. Only when we are able to cut these cords, we are able to release ourselves from the binding, from this obligation which we carry with the family system, that we will be able to lead our life independently, lead our life without the burden of expectations which we carry, lead our life without being bogged down by what we feel are the expectations from our parents or from our ancestors, to live up to the name of the family. So, healing the ancestral lineage helps us by giving the rightful place to our ancestors, to the members of the family tree. It's about honoring our ancestors so that we can go back to our roots and make them stronger. A strong tree has strong roots, and only if we are able to honor our ancestors, then we will have stronger roots and will the tree grow. Can we grow as individuals? Healing the ancestral lineage is all about breaking away from the patterns. It is about reframing the beliefs. It is about releasing ourselves from the limitations which we carry as part of what we have inherited from the family. It helps us to stand out and break free from the patterns which are part of the beliefs which run through families. It's also about releasing ourselves from the karmic ties which are part of the family karma. It helps us to release ourselves from that karmic bond which we have in our families. It's also about releasing ourselves from the limitations which we might carry about abundance, about money. There are certain families who believe that they can never prosper, they are cursed for whatever reasons. It is about breaking away from these patterns, these beliefs, that we will be able to step into our complete power and reclaim the abundance which we deserve. Family constellation and ancestral healing also help to restore the way in which we relate in our own family. It helps us to bring about healthy ties in the family. When we heal the patterns of relationships in our ancestral lineage, it helps to heal the patterns which we have, the dysfunctional patterns which we carry in our own family. It helps to heal our relationships, not just with our family members, but also with ourselves, so that we are better individuals. We are able to move forward in life, understand our purpose, and live our purpose. So when we talk about hereditary illnesses, according to modern science, these are inherited through genes. But if we understand that all the family members do not inherit the illness in a particular group of family members, why is it that then only a certain member or certain members inherit that particular illness? The reason being that illnesses are nothing but physical manifestations of emotional conflicts, and it is these emotional conflicts which we inherit. Subconsciously, we are only replaying those patterns, those conflicts which run in the family. And when we inherit these illnesses, we are only bringing back those conflicts with us, and these manifest as illnesses. So when we talk about ancestral healing, we are healing these emotional conflicts. We are releasing the conditioning which is there as part of our belief system. And when we heal these conditionings, we are then releasing the conflicts which bind us. And when that happens, we also release ourselves from the inheritance of those illnesses. Our future generations will be free of these illnesses. So I would like to share a very interesting case which was helped by family constellation. This is a case of a young lady who always felt that she was isolated in her family. Nobody understood her. She, though she had siblings, an elder brother, a younger sister, she always felt that nobody understood her. So parents were very aloof. They had their own conflicts. And as a result, she always felt that nobody was interested in her. She was all alone. She was not loved. She found it difficult because she did not have the sense of belonging in the family. And when we did a constellation for her, we realized that this is a pattern which runs through the family. Even her mother felt the same thing. Her mother felt that her mother, the mother's mother, also carried the same belief that because the mother was busy in her own domestic chores, the father was finding it difficult to make ends meet. As a result, the seeker's mother also passed through a similar belief that she is all alone, she is isolated, nobody understands her. So when this pattern unfolded during the constellation, the seeker could understand that this is part of a belief which is carried. She was then made to interact with her parents as part of the role play, where she was able to understand what is happening amongst the parents, what are the dynamics between the parents, how the elder brother felt that he was not receiving any guidance, how the younger sister also felt that she was not given enough importance. So when all these family dynamics unfolded during the constellation, she could see that whole story like a movie happening in front of her, and that made her realize that she is carrying this pattern from her grandmother to her mother and then to her. She was able to then be more understanding of why the parents behaved the way they did. She was able to then see herself as the person who had created this belief, which she had inherited as part of her maternal lineage. And when she bowed down to her mother, sought the blessings of the mother opened up her heart to the seeker. She could open up her heart to the mother, and that allowed the flow of love to be restored. Post this constellation, after a month, I received a call from her that all these years after her marriage, her parents had never even bothered to invite her to their home. She would by herself go to visit them, but they would hardly pay attention to her. They would hardly ask her how she is. But to her surprise, this time she received a call from her mother inviting her to come home for the vacations with her children. And when she came home, the mother asked her what she would like to eat, that the mother would cook her favorite dishes, and they would spend long hours sitting and chatting, and she could share with her parents all those things very openly, which she could never in all these years. That strengthened the bond between her and her parents, and she realized that her parents do love her, and that helped her to feel more loved. She felt belonging towards her family. She felt belonging towards her family, and that allowed her to feel more confident about herself and be a more loving mother herself. So, in family constellation, when we are playing the roles of our ancestors, our parents, uh, as the next generation, we are paying our respects, we are honoring our parents, we are honoring our ancestors, because it is through them that we have come into this world. It is the gift of life which they have given us. So when we talk about healing the patterns, when we talk about healing the relationships, as part of the process, there are certain healing statements which the constellator facilitates and provides to the seeker. And when these healing statements are said to the ancestors, that creates a very, very deep impact. It helps to heal those relationships. It opens up the channels of love. So anybody who has explored inner child healing as a modality and wants to work further on strengthening their understanding about the relationship with their parents, who want to release themselves from the binding created between their parents and themselves, those who wish to step out of the shadows of their parents and be independent individuals by themselves, those who feel bound by the family norms, family rituals or restrictions, can step out of these bindings by healing the ancestral lineage. It also is useful for people who are suffering from illnesses which run in the family, illnesses which they have inherited, or it can also be useful for people who know that there are certain illnesses, mental disorders in the family, which are likely to be passed on to the next generation. If you want that your children should be free of those illnesses, then then this system of healing is a way by which you can release the future generations from these patterns. If one believes that certain patterns keep recurring in the family, for example, recurrent abortions, deaths in the family, deaths of certain significant individuals, deaths of maybe the head of the family, or deaths during birth, these kind of patterns which run in the family can also be healed with healing of the ancestral lineage. We can also release certain limitations, certain beliefs, and certain beliefs that one has been cursed, or there is a heavy inheritance which a family carries of a debt in the family. They need to work through ancestral healing.